right, kids. When you're not a Republican or a Democrat in these United States, it's common to tell people that you're independent. And while that's true for me, when I get asked what political party I'm a part of, I usually say that I'm black. I'm for the advancement of my people. NAANP. And in times like this, I'm glad that I have the freedom to express that.
Yo, my coworkers always ask me, Brandon, why you so quiet? Because I'm the only nigga up in here, baby. I have nigga thoughts. I make nigga observations. I can't go around speaking my nigga mind in this non-nigga place full of you non-niggas. I get fired so motherfucking quick.
NKWIO. Today we're going to talk about groupthink, which is something I'm told that I engage in. Black groupthink, to be specific. And it's kind of like the Democratic Plantation thing that I discussed previously, where people are telling me that I can't escape while they're enslaved themselves. Groupthink is a psychological phenomenon in which people strive for consensus within a group. First made prominent by social psychologist Irving Janis, his 1972 study specifically focused on the psychological mechanics that led to foreign policy decisions such as the Pearl Harbor bombing, the Vietnam War, and the Bay of Pigs invasion. This article from PBS goes on to explain that the term groupthink was inspired by George Orwell's novel 1984. You may recognize how the words Orwellian and groupthink are both misunderstood and misused and applied to others when it comes to in-group, out-group dynamics. Social acceptance is a big part of groupthink too. No matter, see, those who may lob this groupthink accusation the most do so when the existence of systemic racism is brought up, or when reparations for U.S. chattel slavery is demanded for, or what have you. Middle America thinks they think for themselves. Never mind when they break a bone and need to see a doctor, or require legal advice from a lawyer, or treat politicians like celebrities, or are the type of hunter-dares to defend billionaires. We could be having serious discussions about the impact of groupthink on policies, war, hazing, the Enron collapse, cults, and so on. Nope. Groupthink is for me, and people like me, you know, Android users.
Nah, because I feel like people with Androids are enlightened as because y'all really don't give a fuck what society think about y'all. Y'all are real as hell, to be honest. Because Apple low-key shitty as fuck, but we just not trying to see them green text bubbles. And what's wrong with green? Bitch, we love the color green.
As you're about to see, there are many reasons that all the black kids are sitting together in the cafeteria, so to speak. So we're told. And there's a connection between social groups and identity and politics. Therefore, I'm going to focus on political ideology, sexual orientation, and race because people who claim they would sit together in a lunchroom due to their ideas and values do so. Let's start with...
I started White History Month the 1st of July 2018. And the reason for doing it is because if you notice, we have so-called Black History Month, we have Women History Month. Why do we have all of these months to celebrate and don't have White History Month? What's something wrong with that?
It's February, y'all. We can't have nothing. This isn't new, but there are 12 White History Months, and Black history should be celebrated all year long, not just the shortest month of the year. Whatever. If we were to ask Jesse Lee Peterson what it means to be white, or better yet, what whiteness is, other than saying my favorite, I doubt he would mention ethnicities, nationalities, or country of origin.
Because if it wasn't for white people, there would be no America. If it wasn't for white people, these people of color and all this crap that's going on, they would not have this country to come to.
People of color and all this crap that's going on. Not that they were considered black or brown, but once upon a time in America, Jewish, Polish, Italian, and Irish peoples were not deemed to be white. They were later brought into the fold. I only bring this up because Jesse has had his unseasoned fingers crossed, hoping, praying that would happen to him for a while now.
And so white history is not appreciated. And I have to tell you, if we don't appreciate white history, it's over for the country.
Jesus, I've seen what you've done for other people, and I want that for me. In tribute to all Irish Americans, Congress, by public law, designated March 1991 as Irish American Heritage Month. When President George Daddy Bush made his formal proclamation, he said, "I encourage all Americans to learn more about the contributions Irish Americans have made to our country and to observe this day with appropriate ceremonies and activities." One of those activities is evidently pretending like the Irish were enslaved in America. And instead of Jesse Lee Peterson appreciating or acknowledging European American heritage months such as Irish, Greek, French, German, and Italian, all being represented on our calendars, there's even a Confederate month. He goes to whiteness, which was and is a construct created to advance their supposed superiority over blackness. And that's for why he chose July for White History Month.
If you notice, July just feels white.
Many reached out to me after that episode was uploaded to question why I didn't mention that Jesse Lee Peterson is gay. I didn't bring it up then because it was off topic, and thus far, what we're aware of is alleged. Well, I got time today, and it's not like he's categorically denying these accusations.
You're not gay, right?
That's not your business.
Oh, but you make the gayness a lot of people's business when you discuss
I make it no one's business. Do you want to act like a man?
Do you live in hell?
Do you want to act?
Do you live in hell?
Do you want to? Hey, look. I put aside my time. I thought you wanted to deal with issues to help folks.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else you want to talk about? Because
Yes.
I don't want to play the woman's game with you.
You want to act like a man, and I don't want to play the woman's game would work on him and only him. In 2022, the Daily Beast dropped an expose about Jesse Lee Peterson. Two of his former male associates came out in June of that year with on-the-record interviews saying they engaged in sexual activities with him, while other men say he propositioned them. One of these men said he had a sexual relationship with Peterson for around 10 years, although he couldn't prove it. Also, the former manager of Peterson's all-male brotherhood nonprofit, the Bond House, a cult, claimed he witnessed Peterson acting physically affectionate towards men in ways that he deemed suspicious. So Jesse Lee Peterson was mad handsy. Furthermore, much of this comes from Church Militant, a not so trustworthy far-right Catholic group and website that made a documentary-style video about Peterson called Amazing Disgrace, where several white or white-passing men went on record with their unverified stories of sexual activities they had with Jesse. What can be proven is Jesse Lee Peterson liking a gay porn tweet a few years ago from his own Twitter account. Going back to that H3 podcast with Ethan Klein interview, here's what happened when they went on to ask Jesse about it.
You like this post from Your Daddy OnlyFans, part 2 with Sean Boy UK.
I have no idea what
It's
that
two
is.
men kissing,
I have no idea.
and they're
what
muscular
that is.
and very
This guy
bear-like.
lied to me
They
about
really think that you're like running a Twitter and stuff. Like,
Yeah, I have no idea. What you-
Really?
Amazing.
Wait, why wouldn't you be running your Twitter?
So why did you?
you really think he would?
Are you?
Yeah, why-
Is
Why
the
do you think he
producer?
is? What makes you think he is?
Oh, so did you like it?
Yeah, did you like it? Are
Was
you
that-
gay?
I don't know any. I have no idea.
Bro thought he was cooking
Well,
right
Jesse,
there.
this is important. The people want to know.
Let me.
Your producer got real quiet. What, did he like the gay porn?
Self-report.
It was one of you two. Someone fess up.
They're hanging up.
Him and his producer hung up after admitting that doing so would make it seem like they ran. To be clear, it's okay for Jesse Lee Peterson to be gay. It's okay for Jesse and or his producer to like gay porn. It's not okay how they treat openly gay people. Whether or not this anti-gay man is closeted, just know that he believes women climaxing is them becoming like a man. He told Chronically Online commentator Destiny, who's openly bisexual, quote, "I don't understand the purpose of putting that out there. People are going to judge you. They're going to look down on you." So it's not the reality of his sexual orientation, but people's awareness of it. Plus, he said this about former mayor and former Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg. You have a homosexual, a radical homosexual, running for president, and no one seems to care. No one is rebuking him, and he even flaunts his so-called husband with no shame, kissing him in public, and people applaud like it's real. They call a man a husband like it's real. It's shocking. Speaking of, a certain group thinks about gay sex a lot. Pete Buttigieg woke up this morning and got effed in the A by his husband. I'm not even going to read the rest of that post from Joey Manorino on this platform, who is, from what I can tell, a professional Pete sex thinker about her. There's so much content from Manorino about Buttigieg's love life. Joey Manorino recently got divorced. He and his ex-wife have asked for privacy at this time. And I would respect that, but see, he has so much to say about someone else's divorce and then thought he was doing something with this "if you can only date liberal men, you'll never feel satisfaction again" thing. Like there aren't legit questions about his ability to consummate his own marriage. But this ain't coming from me though. I'm not gonna come for a black woman like that.
Joey Manorino, white guy, posted this. I'm a true black American and I've been black all my life. I was born black and I will die black. My mommy black, my daddy black. I will never cast a ballot for that Kamala Harris woman as long as I live. Trump all the way, all day, every day.
Here's the tweet. Joey Manorino tried to delete it and tried to explain it away when saying a tweet posted earlier from my account was the result of my account being logged in on a friend's device. Clearly, I am not a black woman. Unlike the Democrat nominee for president, I don't spend my time pretending to be a black woman to garner votes under false pretense. So he's either so chronically online that he used a friend's phone to post one of the 13,000 tweets of his, which is an indication in and of itself that there's no way he's ever without his phone, or he has a burner account. I don't know which is worse. Yet, Laverne Spicer, who I think is in this picture, said that it's true, that he didn't log out of her phone, so there's that. I guess neither of them are tech savvy enough to be aware of whose account is whose. I'm clearly pointing out some of the inherent contradictions, hypocrisies, and inconsistencies of American conservatism. If you roll with me to this point in the video, what I have outlined is a feature with liberals and the left, but comes standard with conservatives. After all, there wouldn't be much of a need to hide one's sexual orientation around leftists, or to pretend to be a black woman. There's a side of the aisle that lacks diversity yet clamors for it while claiming they don't care about race, even though they're definitely obsessed with skin color. They'll post stuff like this, which further lets me know what kind of groupthink is at play. The United States MAGA and the American Christian Church uphold whiteness. The point is, when you're on the right, no matter what you look like or what your ideas and values are, you're just repeating what white people say.
When Americans see deportations or repatriations happen, they're going to be like, thank you. When they see the border closed, they're going to say, this is what I voted for. When they see peace starting to break out again around the world, they're going to be like, this is the stability that we were asking for. Daddy's back. And that's what you're going to see.
U.S. Representative out of Florida, Byron Donalds. Now, before we get back to Donalds behaving as if he has already given Trump permission to claim him on his taxes, even though he only comes around every other Thanksgiving, you should know that Byron was born to a single mother and raised in Brooklyn. So, if his biological father was still around in the 70s and went to, say, Manhattan to look for a place to live, Fred Trump and his son Donald wouldn't have let him rent from their properties. They would have marked his application with a C. C for colored. This is who Byron called daddy. And yes, it's different when Charlie Kirk does it. Very submissive of you, Charlie. Good boy. And when Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene does it, she would call someone else's husband daddy. Byron Donalds has aligned himself with Tom McDonald and Roseanne Barr. Tread on me, please, dear super rich daddy. And this is where that daddy Trump thing came from.
And when dad gets home, you know what he says? You've been a bad girl. You've been a bad little girl and you're getting a vigorous spanking right now.
In context, Tucker Carlson was describing a 14-year-old girl. He could have used any demographic as an example. He chose to speak on a teen girl to be spanked by a man who was like this with his own teen girl. Oh my gosh. What group of people are going to give Byron Donalds pats on the head for doing their bidding?
And when Trump came on stage, as you can see speaking behind me, they started screaming and chanting, "Daddy's home" and "Daddy dogs."
You know, it's like Daddy arrived and he's taking his belt off, you know?
So Daddy's home. And they may be pissed, but America couldn't be happier.
It's to liken it to an old parable that you hear, Daddy's home.
I just love you. No, that's good. That's why he's a great politician.
The term groupthink was inspired by George Orwell's 1984, which used the idea of doublethink for highly suggestive ideas or expressions, first used in an article by William White in Fortune magazine 20 years before Irving Janis. Bringing about something Orwellian might actually be an accusation lobbed by both sides to the other equally. Janis's 1972 work discussed groupthink in relation to decision-making within politics and business. It describes several symptoms of groupthink, including a group's overestimation of its power, demand for uniformity, and closed-mindedness. Go back to that image I showed a few minutes ago. The antecedent conditions of groupthink, external threat, group insulation, homogenous social backgrounds and ideologies, a lack of impartial leadership, and a lack of decision-making procedures saturated the development of the 1970s, 1980s group Weather Underground. Also, do you remember Gamergate? How can a leader prevent groupthink? 1. Include group members who have diverse points of view. 2. Ask members to play devil's advocate, but name the devil, says Sun Michaud. 3. Remove time constraints. And 4. Minimize your leader's influence on the decision. With all of that being said, and with the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in mind, and Black History Month being all year, we are judging y'all by the content of your character. Notice I said we, not just me. I mean, Android users.
You know what? People like to talk shit about that green text bubble, but I'm starting to think that Android users know what the fuck is up. They are onto something. They're on a different plane than the rest of us. I actually think that might be the first step to opening your third eye, is getting an Android. I want to be one. I don't think you get it. Like, I want to be an Android user, but at this point, it's like, do I even have what it takes? I don't know.
We gonna be all right.
A cult language technique called the thought terminating cliche. And this is something where once you understand what it is, you won't be able to unhear it. And it shows up in a lot of really destructive cults where it's this sort of stock expression that's easily memorized, easily repeated, and aimed at shutting down any type of pushback or questioning. This phrase was coined in the early 1960s by a psychologist named Robert J. Lifton. Whenever anybody, would clock a red flag or experience some cognitive dissonance, I really want to believe in this group, but I feel like something is amiss and I want to be able to talk about that. One of these zingy expressions will be served to you by someone with power in that group to shut you down and end the conversation and allow that person to remain in power. So in QAnon, for example, a thought terminating cliche might sound like, well, you need to do your research, or dismissing valid concerns about COVID by saying, don't let yourself be ruled by fear. That's a limiting belief.